A very good afternoon. Welcome to Premier League Live here on LFS this Sunday afternoon for our Sunday doubleheader as we watch Aston Villa looking at for their first league win of the season, and a big win it would be if they could get it, and they take on a Fulham side who haven't had the best start to their season as they would have wanted. We look at these two sides this afternoon from 2, and then our game of the week from 4:30 as Newcastle United take on Arsenal, an Arsenal side looking to capitalise upon Liverpool's failings yesterday to try and close the gap at the top. Let's have a look at the results from yesterday's games this afternoon. Brentford 3-1 winners against Manchester United. Brighton came from behind and Chelsea went down to 10 to make it 3-1 to the Seagulls in West London. It was a late winner from Crystal Palace, giving Liverpool a taste of their own medicine really in that one at Sellers yesterday. 2-1 victors were Palace, the only unbeaten side now in the Premier League. It was 2-2 between Leeds and Bournemouth. A late goal from Krupi equalised for Bournemouth to rescue a point, and 5 was felt by Burnley against Manchester City. 5-1 the victors for City. It was a home shocker for Nottingham Forest. They failed to get past Sunderland, and Sunderland picking up a big victory on the road, their first away win of the new season, and it is awaiting his first win in charge is Ange Postecoglou there at Nottingham Forest. It was all one apiece between Tottenham and Wolves, but it was a late equaliser from João Palhinha that denied Wolves their first win of the season. They do still sit rock bottom, but they could have been jumping up the table and could have been in a much better points position if they were able to hold on. That is yesterday's 7 games. This afternoon, as I said, Aston Villa take on Fulham, followed by Newcastle v Arsenal. And then a Monday night football of the weekend sees Everton take on West Ham at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. That is, of course, tomorrow evening, and would be, if he is in charge at that point, Nuno Espirito Santos' first game in charge of West Ham United. But it has already been a busy weekend in the Premier League, and we're looking forward to these games this afternoon, especially the one at Villa Park, where these two sides, as I said, haven't started the season as they would have wanted. Certainly not Aston Villa anyway. A terrible start to the season. Of course, they did get their very first win of the campaign in midweek in the Europa League against Bologna here at Villa Park. They're hoping to follow that up with a Premier League win that would jump them right out of the relegation zone and up a few places. They are one of only one of two teams, that are without a win after 5 game weeks. And of course, Wolves were the only other side. It could have been Villa were the remaining side without a win coming into today, but of course that late equaliser from Spurs denied Wolves the 3 points there in North London. But Aston Villa will hope and pray that they've had their tough start to the season, and now it's only looking up from here. For Fulham, 2 wins, 2 draws and 1 defeat from their first 5. It's not a shabby start for Fulham, ninth in the table. And they've won each of their last 3 in all competitions since that 2-0 defeat to Chelsea in the league. Their only defeat of the season so far in that crazy game that we watched that day, where Marco Silva was not too happy with the officiating. But he was hoping his team, if they win this afternoon, Fulham, they can jump up into the top 5 with goal difference going their way as well, and that will be some achievement for Fulham. It's already a topsy-turvy top of the table. It is not particularly orthodox, shall we say. Let's give you a quick glimpse of the table then, actually, before we get underway here at Villa Park. The two teams coming from the tunnel. Liverpool do remain top of the table. That won't change this weekend, despite the results elsewhere. They're on 15 points. Palace, who they beat Liverpool yesterday, they're in second on 12. Then Spurs, Sunderland and Bournemouth, all on 11 points. City and Arsenal on 10. Arsenal still to play, of course. Chelsea on 8 points, followed by Fulham. Then Brighton and Leeds, all on 8 points. Then down to 7 points. Look at this. 7 points, Everton, Brentford and Man United, all the way down to 14th. Then 6 points is Newcastle, they've still to play. Forest on 5, Burnley on 4, and then Aston Villa on 3, alongside West Ham on 3, and Wolves on 1 point. That is the Premier League table coming into this weekend. And let's have a look at the two teams then for this afternoon. Aston Villa against Fulham. Starting with the home side, Aston Villa, Emi Martinez starts in goal. A back 4 of Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Tyrone Mings and Luca Digne. Starting in midfield, alongside John McGinn, the Villa captain today, is Lemar Bogard. In the 10 is Morgan Rogers. Gersand off the right-hand side. We believe Ollie Watkins will play through the middle, and Harvey Elliott will be off the left. On the bench for Villa this afternoon, Bizot, Maatsen, Torres, Lindelof, Kamara, Sancho, Buendia, Burrows and Malen. For Fulham, it's been a good start to the season in terms of their form, but they'll be hoping to pick up a big victory against a very low and confident Aston Villa. Bernd Leno starts in goal, a back 4 of Timothy Castagna, Anderson, Bassi and Sessegnon. In midfield, Sasa Lukic alongside Sander Berge. Young Josh King is in the 10. Harry Wilson starts. He's on the right-hand side. Alex Iwobi off the left. And leading the Fulham line this afternoon is Raul Jimenez. On the bench for the Cottagers, Lecomte, Cuenca, Robinson, Reid, Kearney, Smith-Rowe, Kevin, Traore and Chukwueze. It is a Villa side without a win in the Premier League this season against a Fulham side who have been buoyed by their start to the campaign. We'll see who comes out the better. Kick-off at Villa Park is next. A very good afternoon. Welcome in. Thank you very much for joining us this Sunday afternoon here on LFS for our double header of action. We start at Villa Park, as I said. Aston Villa taking on Fulham, followed by our game of the week at St James's Park as Newcastle take on Arsenal. Also this afternoon, I'm keeping an eye on my left-hand side here to the NFL game that's being taken place in Dublin. So if I do get a bit distracted, I do apologise. And also, I'm not well this weekend, so that's even better for you. Yeah, I have been dealing with the soothers this weekend. So yeah, not been a great weekend for me overall. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That would be greatly appreciated. Villa in claret and blue as usual, and Fulham in all white with black trimmings. And we're all but ready to go then here at Villa Park. Aston Villa looking for any sort of positivity they can garner out of the league campaign so far in these early weeks. Yes, without a win, one of only two sides in the league failing to pick up a victory after 6 match weeks it would be if they fail it today. But a Fulham side not easy to overcome, as I said. Only one league defeat in their first 5, and that was in a West London derby against Chelsea. So it is certainly not easy opponent for Villa today. Tyrone Mings, nice darted ball into John McGinn. That midweek win in the Europa League against Bologna here, albeit only by a single goal. But it's a win nonetheless for Aston Villa. It's actually their first win of the season in any capacity. So it's something they look to build upon. As Caoimhan steps away from his man down this right-hand side and feeds a ball down the right channel for Watkins, who just strayed offside when Caoimhan played that ball. And the flag went up fairly quickly by the assistant down that right-hand side. Now, of course, I gotta say, as a neutral, it's been quite disappointing watching Aston Villa this season. They've been well below the level that they've achieved over the last few years of being a real European battler and a real tricky customer when it comes to defending. Were free-flowing with goals. One of the best counter-attacking sides in transition sides in the Premier League last season. And this season, it just seems like they've been hit the reset button and don't know how to get back there at the minute. It's something Unai Emery will want to see. Here comes Fulham down the left-hand side here. Josh King breaking into the box. King rolls it out wide. The chipped effort by Sessegnon was blocked by Ezri Konsa. That's going to be a corner. Again, a little bit easy there for Fulham. Didn't really have to work hard. Pipped the ball down that left channel over the top of the Villa defence, and it was Josh King just stepped out from the central position down the left-hand side, worked it back to Sessegnon on the cutback and tried the cross, which was blocked for the corner. Corner of which Sasa Lukic will take. Right-footed delivery. Flicked on at the near post! And in! And Fulham have the lead. It is Raul Jimenez. And Fulham have the first blow here at Villa Park. The exact opposite start that Aston Villa would have needed. And Fulham break through inside 3 minutes. Raul Jimenez, the scorer. And Fulham have first blood. Yeah, it's a flick on at the near post. It's far too easy. Great delivery by Lukic. Good run by Raul Jimenez. Leaves his man for dead. I'm trying to see who he breaks away from. Is it Caoimhan? No. Bogard, I think it is, that he just steps away from, runs to the near post, and a real glancing flick-on header into the bottom right corner. Beautiful goal. And what a start for Fulham. Although they are checking for a possible foul here, VAR. A possible foul maybe on Emi Martinez, is that? McGinn goes down in there. Is that maybe what they're looking at? I'm not too sure what they're gawking at here, the officials. And there's nothing I could really see there. Where is the foul? I'm trying to see where the foul is. Guessing it's McGinn. But the man at the back post, these are just not involved. I mean, the goal was given. I mean, I don't know what that VAR check was for, but it didn't look like a foul in any case. Andy Madley, our referee. VAR, of course, Matt Donoghue, who had a few interesting VAR decisions at Sellers Park as well yesterday. Had a few goal checks for very unorthodox moments yesterday. I mean, not great. Although here come Fulham again, right from the kickoff, down the right-hand side. Looking for the threat, and again Harry Wilson steps back infield. And the ball worked out wide again by Fulham. Well, a great start for the visitors. And the exact opposite start that has deaded Villa Park once again. A good atmosphere from kickoff, but you go 1-0 down so early on at home. Just zaps the energy out of the stadium. Semi Martinez. He's it across to Tyrone Mings. Stepping forward. Nicely picked up by Harvey Elliott. Scored Villa's first goal of the season, did Harvey Elliott, in that League Cup defeat to Brentford. Mings' ball a bit forced, but the second ball brought down by Elliott and laid off to Watkins. That's better play. And Gussan with a cross. Cleared away by Fulham. That was better. Picked up the ball in a real decent pocket of space. Laid it off to Watkins well was Harvey Elliott. And the cross ultimately was cleared away, but did I get a new chair? Not yet. I will be, but not yet. I'm definitely getting one, though. Definitely getting one. Harvey Elliott on the turn. Out wide to the left-hand side here for Villa. Rodgers now finding Watkins. Back to Morgan Rodgers, who dinks it out to the right side for Gussan. But Gussan couldn't bring it down over his head. Throw into Fulham. Well, it has been a pretty dreadful start for Aston Villa to the league campaign. Just one goal from their 5 games so far. And that one goal did come last week against Sunderland, against 10-man Sunderland in that game. It's their only league goal of the season. Failed to score in any of their first 4 league games. 0-0 against Newcastle. 1-0 defeat to Brentford. 3-0 defeat here to Crystal Palace. And that 0-0 draw with Everton. All 3 of their points this season have come from those draws. And there's a Fulham player down here for the moment. So that will bring a stop to the play here. There's Raul Jimenez. He has scored the goal, but rather strange. We'll get him some treatment at the moment. I agree with you, Andy. I think Villa are definitely mid-table to Europe pushing. You know, they're in that bracket of maybe 6th, 7th to maybe, I didn't mean that, 6th, 7th to maybe 11th, in that gap where they're mid-table, but they're not quite European. They're not quite constantly battling for Europe, but they should be in and around that conversation. You know, maybe a Brighton, for example, similar kind of trajectory. In that sense, they're all in that little cluster of teams where they should be battling for those types of European places. But again, teams have bad starts to the season, and once it's 1, then it's 2, then it's just continues on this kind of rolling kind of regime of one bad result after another, and then it was big to get that result against Bologna. You know, it's hard to win in Europe at any stage, but after the start that Villa had, without a win in their first 5 league games, and going into Europe we need some positivity. And on Wednesday night, or was it Thursday night? I can't really remember, but during the week, yeah, it was Thursday night. During the week, it was a really, really strong performance from Aston Villa, and a lot better than what we'd seen of them as of recently. But at the same time, it's a little bit one of those where you're in a rout and you need to find a way out of it. And I think the only way out of it is to get a league win. And a hard-fought league win, because if you win a game, a late goal, a late bit of drama, a slice of luck going your way, just one thing can completely turn it. And you go from looking at every game as, how do we not lose, to how can we win this game? Well, it looks like Raul Jimenez's day is going to be over, but he's already had his impact after just 3 minutes, scoring the opening goal to give Fulham the lead. But looks like his day is going to be over, and Adama Traore is going to be coming on for Fulham here. And this is definitely not what they need. They don't have a recognised centre forward on the bench, and that's why Adama Traore's come on. No Rodrigo Muniz here this afternoon. So Jimenez is off and Adama Traore is on. So we'll see what kind of way Fulham will line up from now on with this formation. There's Villa breaking down the left there, wanting a foul, but a fair challenge by Joachim Andersen, and the last touch off the Villa man. Yeah, good spin by Rodgers, and then it was Digne in behind, and Andersen, I don't think there's much in that, if I'm honest. Yeah, strong defending by Joachim Andersen. Yeah, 100%. Andy, I think it's the fact that they've put so much on those loan players, that they, with the success, put so much on that it's actually hurt them in the long run. Here's Josh King breaking forward for Fulham and forces a good save out of Emi Martinez again, really running right up the spine of the Aston Villa team without any real combativeness, no, any real kind of rebuttal from Villa there. They were carved through by Josh King. I mean, it was, again, really easy. But as I said, about putting so much emphasis on those loan players, you know, your Marco Asensios, your Marcus Rashfords, etc., etc., who came in at loan spells and had really good kind of performances for Aston Villa last season. Here's Harvey Elliott picking up the ball, try to roll it through for Watkins. The clearance bounces back to Bogard. Now Cash lays it off for Gerson to Elliott, and now Cash again. Cash with a deep delivery, and that's into the hands of Bernd Leno, but it was better from Aston Villa. Leno back to Calvin Bassey. Oh, it's closed down there by Harvey Elliott, but bouncing ball will go out for a Fulham throw. But so far, Harvey Elliott seems to be the most impactful player for Aston Villa. Signed from Liverpool over the summer. So far here at Aston Villa, he's come up with a few very good performances for his team. And so far in these early moments, trying to give them some sort of energy in the final third. That's a clearance in behind, and here's a run. It's Flagstay down for now, the chance, and it's gone wide from Harry Wilson. I don't know if the flag went up anyway, but I mean, he was free and running through there, Harry Wilson. We'll see it again if he is onside. Oh, he's just off, I think. Just offside. Not by much, but he's just off. puts it wide. I think Emi Martinez does well to close the angle, and Harry Wilson tries to go near post. And then Ezri Konsa closes him down, which kind of puts him off as well. So, in the end, it was a good recovery by Aston Villa, but could have been much more dangerous. And I think he was offside anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But maybe that threat in behind from Fulham. We do have good runners. And good pace in that top end of the field. Again to Mings. "15 minutes gone, Aston Villa 0, Fulham 1. Fulham scoring through Raul Jimenez. Cash to Gerson. Lovely little link up with Matty Cash, who just gets the better of his man, lays it out wide again to Gerson, who has got the corner out of Calvin Bassey. Yeah, that was nicely played by Evan Gerson and Matty Cash down that right hand side. Winning Villa a corner here down this right flank. Of course, awaiting their first goal at Villa Park in the league this season. Something we've said very often. They had a great run of scoring at Villa Park for quite a while, if you remember. John McGinn. Left-footed delivery. It's deep. It's kept alive. Fizz back in. And it's cleared away at the near post by Ryan Sessegnon. In behind for another corner. It was Harvey Elliott again. The ball to the back post. It's Elliott that just steps off the back. Takes the ball down. Has the go across goal. And it's blocked and cleared away behind by Sessegnon. Again, Harvey Elliott, the difference maker at the moment for Aston Villa. Another corner, left-hand side. Goes short this time to Elliott, who took the touch, laid it off. And there's going to be a free kick in the box for a foul on a Fulham player. See that moment from Josh King again. Bricks in behind Bogard. And Bogard is there. Konsa's there as well. Here comes a chance! And McGinn was there. I mean, what sort of directing of a football match is this? Because we were showing on some replay and then we missed the actual live action. Poor touch by Calvin Bassey. Poor play. McGinn steps in. Wins it. And as he bricks into the box, he has a strike with his left foot. But he just tries to place it. And I don't know what sort of placement he was trying there. But I think he might need a Specsavers appointment there, John McGinn. He put it that far wide. Just took it. Didn't need to curl it. Didn't need to whip it. Just hit it straight at the goalkeeper. Hit it straight on target. And you will be fine. 9 times out of 10 that would find a way past the keeper. But it was better pressing though. Aston Villa in all attacking areas have been the worst, or at least the joint worst team in the Premier League this season. Oh, Evan Gerson wants to change that here down the right hand side. 2 or 3 men around him all the way down that right channel, and he did everything he could to hold on to it and wins a throw in down the right side. That was really good from Evan Gerson there, holding off 2 or 3 Fulham players. Throw in back to Konsa. To McGinn. Now across to Mings. Dean tried to play a first ball down the left channel. Blocked and put out of play for a Fulham throw-in off Digne. Back here to Bern Leno from Joachim Andersen. That wasn't quite comfortable as Calvin Bassey sends one flying over the top. Oh, Adama Traore's made the run in behind here. He's taken it down and spun back. Traore lays it off now to Berger. Right. Wilson down the right side. Back to Castagna. Better from Fulham. Using that longer ball to target a man up front and to bring them all into play. Good hold up from Adama Traore. It just allows Fulham to have possession, but they're not doing much with it at the moment. So it's back with Castagna. All the way back. Anderson forced into his own box there, and Bernd Leno. Good pressing from Villa again, but Fulham causing their own problems, and Calvin Bassey's ball was fired right at Ezri Konsa to retrieve it for Aston Villa. I think that was good counter-pressing from Aston Villa, but at the same time, Fulham played themselves a few loose passes, played themselves under pressure. It was good work from Villa to win the ball back from that moment. "20 minutes gone. Fulham lead by a goal to nil. Well, Aston Villa have won 7 of the last 8 Premier League meetings against Fulham, including their last 5 in a row since a 3-0 defeat in October of 2022. The Villains last won 6 successive league meetings against any side, when doing so against fierce rivals Birmingham City from October 2005 to April 2010. And if they were to win today, that will be 6 consecutive league victories over a single side for the first time in 15 years. At the minute, going to have to find a goal before they can worry about a victory. There's a Caoimhan ball there from Lucadinha's cross down the left, but no foul, said the referee, and Fulham work it down the right channel now with Harry Wilson and Castagna, but now finding it, Adama Traore. He's looking for the man running in behind, and the runner rounding Emi Martinez, but it's going to be a free kick here to Aston Villa for simulation on Josh King, and he's going to get himself a yellow card. I think Josh King got a yellow card for simulation last week, didn't he? If I'm not mistaken, but he's got one here. It's really good play from Adama Traore. Picks the ball up, waits for the runner in behind. He's onside, gets off the back of Konsa, and King bricks in behind. As the ball's gone, he just tumbled over Emi Martinez. I mean, that's definitely not a foul by the goalkeeper. And I'd say that is simulation. Oh, to be fair. Yeah, but the ball was miles away. Miles away. And all of Josh King's doing, he just played the ball away from the incident and then went down. It's very bizarre. Very bizarre indeed. He did get a yellow card last weekend against Brentford. Josh King. And here they come again. Here is King again. Fulham bricking forward nicely in the last few minutes. King bricking a chance, trying to get a shot. Called a handball. It will be a deflection. It will be a corner. And they're extremely incessant, the Fulham players, that that's a penalty. Andy Madley's given a corner just. But Matty Cash doesn't look the most convincing. And we'll see the replay of it again. That's handball. That's handball. His arm is outstretched from his body, and it hits his arm to deflect the ball away from the goal. That's handball. Surely. Although they felt that it wasn't unnatural. I mean, I can see that too as well, to be fair. But his arm is out, away from his body. Probably the thing that probably saves him there is the fact he may be turning away from the ball. Who knows anymore. Corner to Fulham. They were desperate for a penalty there, were Fulham, and I thought they had half of a claim. Ball into the box. Cleared away at the near post. Another Fulham corner will come. Mings to get his head to that one. So Sasalukic over this corner again. Goes short this time. King with delivery. Cleared away in there by Rodgers. Kept alive down the right though by Fulham. And bundling over was McGinn down that right side. That's going to be a free kick. Yeah, Castagna played it here, finding Anderson, and Anderson went down under the challenge of McGinn. And that's a free kick. Another free kick here for Fulham. Harry Wilson to deliver. Cleared away at the near post by Luca Digne. Didn't really come to nothing there, but certainly Fulham have had the better of it in the last 5 minutes. They've been much more threatening and testing Aston Villa after that little spell in between. There wasn't much happening. Switch ball there by Anderson. Beautifully taken in by Adama Traore, or down the left-hand side. Iwobi to deliver into the box. Flicked on and flicked on again by Traore, but he was offside in that moment. As we see a bit of history on Croke Park this afternoon in Dublin. First NFL game in Ireland. Minnesota Vikings against the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you're ever so interested. I mean, Josh King, I can confirm he was booked for simulation last week. I mean, that's two really silly bookings. Oh, what's happened there? A collision between Bassey and Watkins, was it? Rodgers and Bassey, and they've both stayed down, as well as the Fulham keeper, Bernd Leno. See this again, it's two runner in behind in Rodgers, tracked by Bassey, and then they just kind of fall into each other, both looking for the ball. Rodgers tries to take it down, and then Bassey, he does kind of catch Rodgers, but it's not a foul. And then Bernd Leno ends up being like a bowling pin, just gets caught by his own man and gets bundled over, but no innocent, immense damage done there. Yeah, I understand now, it's definitely not a penalty. I see the replay again, it's not a penalty. He's got, the way Cash is spinning, his left arm is behind his back, and that's where he handles it, behind his back. But he's trying to turn away from the ball to block it. It's not handball. It would be very harsh. I thought initially that it was, but when you see the replay, it's not. It's not. But I'm sure Marco Silva wouldn't have been very happy once again that wasn't given, but it would have been very harsh to give that one. 28.5 minutes gone here at Villa Park, and Aston Villa again haven't really shown much in attacking sense. 2 shots. Fulham haven't shown much more than that either, 3 shots, so it's not been the most fruitful game in the final third, but Raul Jimenez's goal from a corner is the difference. Harry Wilson takes this one down in the right. Driving inside, has a shot. Took a block on the way through. finding Emi Martinez, who tries to unleash Watkins in behind, but not on the same page there. It was the Villa centre forward and the Villa goalkeeper. I do apologise, I have to take a soother because this voice will not be working for much longer if I don't. And, that ball in behind was shielded back to Emi Martinez. Well, I think it might be one of those things where Villa haven't really shown much good quality, and I think they just need a little bit of confidence. That's why I said it could be one moment that could completely change this, as Lucadinha, I think, was offside there as the ball was played out to him on that left channel, and that is just really poor. I mean, how is your left back offside? That's baffling. Baffling. And I think that's what Unai Emery was referencing last week in a press conference about calling a side lazy. And I think that's the argument that could be made. It's those little moments where your left back's offside, or your runner doesn't get back on side, he's not on the same page as your teammate, they're not communicating to know who's going to be where at what point. And it's just kind of laziness from Aston Villa to just not do the basics right and expect different results than what they've got already this season. Nice touch there around the corner. Elliott spinning it out to the right hand side, but Gerson again plays it to absolutely no one. Battles to try and win it back, but a collision between the two. He play on. It will be. King was brought down, but well won back, says the referee. A real scramble for possession from both teams at the moment. Challenges flying in. And that was good pressure there by Rodgers down that side to win a throw-in for Aston Villa. And they're going to make a change here. Another one in this game for these two. And it's going to be a Villa change. It's going to see Pau Torres coming on. And Tyrone Mings coming off. So maybe another injury problem. One for Fulham and now one for Aston Villa. So Tyrone Mings is off and Pau Torres is on. Both managers have had to sub off some big players in the first half here so far. Of course, Villa did play Thursday night in the Europa League, so a Thursday-Sunday turnaround. Free kick here down the left. Harry Wilson is literally standing in front of John McGinn as he was taking it. And the referee just has to have a word with Harry Wilson here. He's been warned. Well, it's just unnecessary. What are you doing? Just get away from the ball. No time for this. McGinn goes short with a free kick. Whips it in this time and cleared away at the front post. Once again by Fulham, who had a lot of bodies in there to defend that situation. Here is Bogard. Fired into Morgan Rodgers, who does well to control it and spins away. And he's brought down quite cynically there by Sasa Lukic. And that's going to be a yellow card for the Fulham midfielder. That's the Aston Villa we've known. Morgan Rodgers gets on the ball, drives at defences and commits challenges from midfielders. That is much more Aston Villa-like. Sasa Lukic giving away a free kick and getting a yellow card for his troubles. That's his fourth yellow card of the season. One more and it will be a match ban for Sasa Lukic. I think Fulham will be picking out what game he gets the match ban for, because there's no way he's making it to late December on no more yellow cards. So free kick to Aston Villa. On the left-hand side, a right-footed delivery. Bouncing down, and again the bounce takes it away once again. And let's flick back in. Villa showing a little bit more fight. That's a good touch and a strike from Matty Cash there off the left-hand side. Just goes over the crossbar. A little bit better from Aston Villa. Showing a little more fight. Look at this man, Ollie Watkins. 2 touches in this game. The players in and around him. Pau Torres has 1. He's only on the field. Raul Jimenez had 2. He scored with 1 of them and went off after 7 minutes. And Adama Traore, who came on for Raul Jimenez, has had more touches of the ball than Ollie Watkins. So certainly not a good start to the day by any stretch of the imagination for Ollie Watkins. Last 10 minutes of the first half. Aston Villa still searching for that first league goal at Villa Park this season. It's a long ball by Concept in behind to try and target the run of Watkins, but nicely dealt with by Anderson. Cash there, again showing far too much to Alex Iwobi. That's a lovely bit of skill by Josh King, and he sends the runner in behind here in Sessegnon, who fired across the box but cleared away by Pau Torres. Again, far too easy. I mean, it all comes from Matty Cash taking a heavy touch, and then instantly Fulham 1-2 passes, ball in behind, and they're in. Throw in here down the left-hand side, Sessegnon to take. It's going to go long. It's a new trend in the Premier League, long throws. Long by Sessegnon. Bouncing down, brought down in the box, and cleared away by Cash. Watkins tries to flick the header on for Harvey Elliott, but not much joy in doing so. There's a little bit more energy in Aston Villa, but not much more in quality terms. Oh, that's a flick back. Watkins tips it, and it's gone in. That's the slice of luck they need. An awkward defensive header, chipping the goalkeeper. And Ollie Watkins hasn't been involved very much, and he's got Aston Villa's first home league goal of the season to level things up here at Villa Park. One long ball, awkward defensive header from Joachim Andersen. He's onside anyway, Watkins, so it doesn't matter if the header comes or not. He's onside. It goes over the head of Andersen, and Ollie Watkins dinks it over the goalkeeper in Bernd Leno, and it finds its way into the back of the net. Keeper in no man's land, and it just dips under the crossbar and in. That is what I meant by luck. That is what I meant by one thing falling in their way to get them back up and energetic inside this stadium. Not much has gone their way this season, but that might be something that has. It might be something that just rejuvenates Aston Villa. They checked it, VAR, and confirmed it's a goal. Aston Villa 1, Fulham 1. Ollie Watkins with his first goal of the season as well. That is a moment that could change the tide inside Villa Park. When they've gone down at home this season, Villa, they have had no fight back in terms of scoring. Well, now they have. And what will they do with it? Just after we talked about, literally 2 minutes ago, about how little Ollie Watkins was involved in this game. Well, he has that magic touch to give Villa the equaliser. Although here comes Fulham again. And King's flashed effort was blocked. It's his 7th goal against Fulham in his career, Ollie Watkins. One of his favourite teams to score against is Fulham. Well, this stat comes in handy at this point. Fulham have won just 1 of their last 21 away league games at Aston Villa, drawing 7 and losing 13, losing their last 6 in a row since a 2-1 win in April of 2014. Not a happy hunting ground for Fulham. As there's a defensive touchdown in Dublin, and it is the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, that have got the touchdown. It's a fumble recovery and a touchdown by the defence. And the player that scores the touchdown actually pulls a hammy while he runs into the end zone. Or at least, he faked it. Switch ball here for Villa. Gerson. Now inside to Cash. Gerson again on this right side. Goes for the early cross. Blocked at the near side. Now McGinn fires it through. A little heavy towards Rodgers, but Elliott was there to try and help out. And in the end, the foul comes. Lukic brought down. Edge of his own box. Free kick. Kick there by Anderson. Will be causing trouble, along with Adama Traore down this left-hand side. Here's Traore. Right-footed delivery, flicked on by King and into the hands of Emi Martinez. Yeah, good step inside from Traore under his right foot. And the header from Josh King. Glancing straight down the throat of the Villa goalkeeper and Emi Martinez. That's a lovely ball, finding McGinn, who spins away from his man and has a shot. Blocked. Villa in the ascendancy, it seems, at the moment. Bogard, down the left it comes, Digne on the overlap. Digne cuts it back across. Anderson gets it away. Villa so much more threatening now. Pau Torres has to cover at the back. Puts it out for a Fulham throw, but that belief seems to be there now in Aston Villa that they can threaten. They can produce. They can do it. That's how quickly a game can change. How quickly an attitude can change. They come back and win this. Aston Villa. It will be a real mood booster. Back-to-back victories. First league win of the season. They have to get there first, and they've got that equaliser at least. Now they want to make it even better. Another ball in behind. Watkins left it for Rodgers, but Rodgers couldn't bring it in. Just brought into the hands of Byrne Leno. Again, it's a lovely ball over the top. Watkins drops deeper, allowing Rodgers to break in behind. And he took it off his toe, it goes, and into the hands of Byrne Leno. Another ball in behind, though, over the top of the Fulham defence. That causes them problems as Traore goes down a little easily there, said the referee. That's a great ball, and a running behind from Watkins again, but Leno was there to deal with it. He might have been just offside in any case, but didn't end up mattering. Nice little give and go there between Wilson and Lukic. Now King does really well there, Josh King against Ezri Konsa. And the ball held up, but Wilson goes down wanting a foul. Referee says no. As Villa have the ball back, we'll see how long will be added on at the end of the first half. Eight minutes. 2 VAR checks. 1 or 2 injury problems as well. So 8 added minutes at the end of this first half. Digne dragged back. That's a free kick. Castagna the one committing that one, and Marco Silva's not happy again. He feels that the referee's a little imbalanced, although he gets a nice response from the referee of a yellow card. Does the Fulham boss. Remember, that's his second yellow card of the season for Marco Silva. Harry Wilson's also got his first yellow card of the season. They're also complaining to the referee. Cash. Back to Ezri Konsa. Ball over the top again. This one seen back to his goalkeeper out there by Castagna. Bassi down the left channel. Taken in by Josh King again. A flick ball over the top from Iwobi here, and the runner in behind. In Lukic. Dragged himself a little to the left. He works it back inside. Now lays it off, and the shot is poked very well wide by Harry Wilson. Again, great from Sasa Lukic to make that break and run in over the top of the Villa defence that weren't in shape at all there. He just forced a little to the left as he works back inside. He lays it off to Harry Wilson, who's given the time and space to shoot, and should have done so much better on that situation. There's another long ball over the top there for Watkins to chase. He is chasing, and a little too much on Castagna, but referee said no foul. Here come Aston Villa. Let ball into the box. Up and headed away. Brought down by Rodgers. Jinks it inside Castagna, but Lukic was there in cover, and Wilson fires cleared away. I think Fulham a little frustrated at the minute. Watkins just about kept in. McGinn lays it off to Watkins, who just runs into a Fulham body in there, and McGinn on the press. Forces Leno's long clearance. Back by Cash, brought in by Gerson. He was brought down, but again, no foul, and that's going to be a cynical foul given away by John McGinn, who gets himself a yellow card for that. Yeah, just pulling Sanderberger back there. A bit of a soft one to give away. And a yellow card for John McGinn. A lot of yellow cards in the last few minutes. First yellow card for Aston Villa today, that one. Here's Sessegnon, nice touch. Takes it to the byline, cut back! And away by Pau Torres, behind for the corner. So another Fulham corner. This will be their 4th corner of the first half. We'll have still 3 minutes of this first half to go. Into our 6th now minute of additional time. Harry Wilson and Sasa Lukic over this corner. No, the referee's going to have to ask them here that he's going to come over and have a look at this corner. I don't know what's going on there. The referee's told them something, and Harry Wilson's not too happy about it. I don't know what. Maybe the way they're taking the corner? Harry Wilson delivers. Fizzed away. It's brought down by King at the edge of the box. That was really strange. Ball into the box there, right into the hands of Emi Martinez, who wants to send one flying. He does. It's well defended. The last man there for Fulham able to retrieve, and Watkins tried to bring it down, but Fulham have the possession. I gotta say, that was a really bizarre moment. Harry Wilson and Sasa Lukic were over the corner. The referee kind of comes over and asks them to kind of, I don't know what he was trying to ask them, but there was something about the way they were going to take the corner that the referee wasn't happy with. As Villa get a free kick here, Sasa Lukic just fouling a Villa man. It's a free kick in a good area. You just give it away here. Rodgers wins it back, does Bassi. And then Lukic just kind of grabbing a hold of Evan Gerson as the ball had gone past him, and that's definitely a foul. Has to watch himself, Lukic. He's on a yellow. Has to be very careful. Last minute of the first half then. 1-1. And a whole host of Villa players around the free kick, 6 of them. They will all disperse and leave one remaining in Lucadinha. So about 26-7 yards out. Slightly to the right hand side, so it does benefit a left footer. This would be a great way to end the first half for Aston Villa. They can find the net from this sort of position. Matty Cash just sneaking back around, but I think he's not going to be involved in this one. So it's Lucadinha. Goes directly and forced to dive out of Bernd Leno. But a good catch by the Fulham goalkeeper. Yeah, left-footed, gets it over the wall, dipping towards the goal. But nicely recovered and dealt with by the Fulham goalkeeper, Bernd Leno. And that is what brings us to half-time. A first half which, once and probably as usual this season, Aston Villa didn't start well. They conceded inside 3 minutes when Raul Jimenez headed home from a corner. But Ollie Watkins got a slice of luck. The bouncing ball going over the head of Joachim Andersen, and he dinked it over Bernd Leno to equalise. It's Villa's first home goal of the season, and Ollie Watkins' first goal of the season. And they are in the ascendancy here, the home side. But half-time, it's all square. Aston Villa 1, Fulham 1. We'll be back in a few minutes. Your one last kick. This is going to be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Rice again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. Welcome back to Premier League Live, half-time. It's Aston Villa 1, Fulham 1 at the break. Jimenez and Watkins, the two scorers, two centre-forwards on the score sheet here at half-time. One of them not on the field any longer. Raul Jimenez had to go off through injury, but Ollie Watkins is still on, and he scored the first goal for Aston Villa at Villa Park this season. We'll analyse the game in a moment, but let's have a look at the weekend's headlines from this weekend in the Premier League. Let's show you Crystal Palace beating Liverpool for the first time this season. A 97th minute winner from Eddie Nketiah sealed the deal at Sellers Park. 2-1 it finished. Brentford stung Manchester United. Igor Thiago with a first half brace and a late goal from Matthias Jensen, making it 3-1 to Brentford. Sunderland kept Nottingham Forest at bay and still awaiting his first win, and Sunderland winning by a goal-0 at the City grounds. It was a late equaliser from João Palhinha that denied Wolves a first win of the season, and that equaliser made it 1-1. It was Brighton that found a way past 10-man Chelsea, a late comeback, all three goals coming in the last 13 minutes of that game at Stamford Bridge. And Bournemouth rescued a late point at Ellen Road against Leeds through Krupi in the 93rd minute, finished 2-2. And City put 5 past Burnley at the Etihad, 2 late goals from Erling Haaland and a couple of own goals from Maxime Esteve, 5-1. And those are your weekend headlines from this weekend so far. It's been a very intriguing and entertaining weekend so far here in the Premier League. Here already, Brentford 3, Man United 1, Chelsea 1, Brighton 3, Crystal Palace 2, Liverpool 1, Leeds 2, Bournemouth 2, Man City 5, Burnley 1, Nottingham Forest 0, Sunderland 1, Spurs 1, Wolves 1. And of course at half-time here this afternoon, Aston Villa 1-1 with Fulham. Of course, still to come this weekend, a little later on this afternoon, we have our game of the week. Of course, as Newcastle take on Arsenal at 4:30. But let's analyse the first half of our game this afternoon. And Aston Villa 1, Fulham 1. And I think really this game started probably the way that Villa fans had feared it would start, and probably felt it would start based on the way their team have been playing this season, and the way and the performances they've really seen of their team. They conceded inside 3 minutes with the first corner of the game. Good delivery by Sasa Lukic, and a good header off the near post, or from the near post, a cross goal by Raul Jimenez. Run off his man far too easily. Bogard didn't do well enough to keep a hold of his man. But if I'm honest, I think Villa were kind of sucker punched in the first few minutes. It's not often that we kind of say, oh, well, that was a really bad start. It's poor in the fact they conceded, but it's not that they were under the cosh or completely all over the place. It's a goal from a set piece that more than gave Fulham a lot of confidence, and probably later on, as the half went on, they probably deserved that lead because they did start the better of the two teams. They did kind of use their physicality to the better. Villa really lackluster, sloppy, disjointed. Looked like they hadn't played with each other in the first 20-25 minutes of this game, and I think they just were kind of lost. I think Aston Villa for the first 20-25 minutes. I think Fulham losing Raul Jimenez is an issue. It's a problem because they no recognised centre forward, no Rodrigo Muniz. So it kind of created that little bit of ambiguity in the final third with Fulham. Who's going to make those late runs? Who's going to go where in what moment? And I think we haven't really seen much of, maybe, you could probably argue, Alex Iwobi. Seen a little bit from Adama Traore. Josh King's been involved. Not seen much of Harry Wilson of any great note. So there are moments here where you can pinpoint and go, well, since the Raul Jimenez went off, there hasn't been that kind of potency in the final third from Fulham, and they've struggled to kind of link things up in those moments. But I think that also aided the fact that Villa were growing into the game. Slowly but surely, they were getting slightly better as the half went on, little bit by bit. As they made their passes, were getting more comfortable on the ball. And again, I said it could come down to one moment that could completely change the atmosphere. One goal that levels this game up, that changes the feeling around Villa Park, that changes the feeling around the fan base, that changes the momentum of the way things have been going for Aston Villa for the first few weeks of the season. And that equalising goal from Ollie Watkins was exactly that. It was a long ball moment. It was one where 9 times out of 10, Fulham deal with it. They head the ball clear and nothing comes of it. But in that once out of 100 times, bless me, that once out of 100 times where that ball doesn't be defended by Fulham cleanly, it doesn't be headed away by the defender, that is the moment where they need to pounce, and that was the moment that came. It sailed over the head of Joachim Andersen. Running in behind was Watkins, who dinked the goalkeeper. Really looping dink, by the way. Usually we see a dinking kind of finish when the keeper is literally low down to the ground. He was full stretch. He was full standing, Bernd Leno. And Ollie Watkins just dinking it over him. And it dipped under the crossbar and into the back of the Fulham net to equalise for Aston Villa. And as I said, it's one of those unorthodox, crazy moments where you go, that's the turning point. That's a sliding doors moment where this game swung from one way to the other. Fulham started really well. Villa grew into the game slowly but surely, got their goal, and that will give them a lot of confidence going into half-time. And I think towards the end of the half, they probably would have had 1 or 2 chances to maybe add to their scoreline. And I think they were brimming with confidence. You started to see after the goal, passes were finding their targets. They were much more confident on the ball. They were winning battles, they were winning duels, they were winning free kicks. Everything started to click a little bit more for Aston Villa once the goal was scored, and then as they continued on towards half time. But I think really, on the balance of things, I think it's a fair scoreline at half time. I think Fulham started the better, Villa ended the half the better, and I think they both got what they deserved out of it. But I think for Aston Villa, in the wider context of the way things have gone for them this season, I think this is a must-win game in this scenario right now. Because they're 1-1 at half-time, come out energy, come alive in the second half, and start to really put a marker down. That they're back, that they're not going to falter away again. And I think Unai Emery needs to get that out of his team. Because I don't think it will be too long before questions will be asked of Aston Villa of how are they not winning games of football, and they've got really good quality. You know, you look at that 11 from Villa. You know, we talk about Morgan Rogers. He was fantastic last year. Ollie Watkins has been one of the top-rated strikers in the league for the last number of years in terms of his output. In terms of John McGinn, one of the best kind of performing captains, can be so combative with the ball, but also drive with the ball and create things. So he's a very dynamic midfielder. And then we talk about the fullbacks, the goalkeeper, the defenders. Villa have got some really good players in this team, and players well capable of getting results and well capable of performing at a much higher level than where they are at this minute in time. I think they need to show that. For Fulham, I think it's one of those where they kind of got distracted as the half went on by a refereeing decision here or a refereeing decision there, and that kind of really distracted them as the half went on towards the end of the first half. I'm not saying that gave Villa everything they needed to kind of perform better, but I think it helped. It certainly helped. Fulham lost their concentration as the half went on, and that's only a fault of their own. You know, at the end of the day, you can't get hung up on whether a free kick gets given or not. Just play the game of football and move on. Fulham got too hung up on the referee, this referee, that. Marco Silva got himself booked. Harry Wilson got himself booked for stupid moments where they said they were going off at the referee for decisions. I mean, relax, man. Relax. And that's where you can kind of see a change in the way things are going. That maybe Fulham are more focused on the refereeing decisions than locking in for this game. But we will see. Big second half on the way in just a moment. It is Aston Villa 1, Fulham 1. And we'll be out for the second half in just a few minutes. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Premier League Live. Half time, it is Villa 1, Fulham 1. A reminder for you, we have a big game coming up a little later on this afternoon here on LFS. It is a huge fixture in terms of the way things have gone this weekend in the Premier League. Indeed, it is Newcastle taking on Arsenal. 4:30 this afternoon. A Newcastle side who have really, they've not started great. One win from their first 5. But only one defeat, to say the least. Only 6 goals involved in their games so far this season. 3 scored, 3 conceded. And funnily enough, 5 of those goals came in one singular game. So there's not much involved. They've had 3 0-0 draws this season, Newcastle. Hoping for a bit more than that a little later on against an Arsenal side who will look to capitalise on Liverpool's failings yesterday and make it a 2-point gap at the top. We will see. Newcastle Arsenal is later on. And we'll have team news actually in about 5-10 minutes from that one, so do stay tuned for that. Looks like Aston Villa are going to make a half-time change. Emi Buendia looks to be coming on in a moment. And we'll see whether Villa can complete the turnaround in this second half. A reminder for you, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications. If you haven't done so already, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. And we're very close to 30,000 subscribers, so if you can do that, will be so greatly appreciated. And thank you all for joining. Do hit that like button as well, because it does massively help to grow the channel and grow the stream. So do press that like. It is massively appreciated. Thank you all very much. Right. By the way, I mentioned that half-time change for Villa. It is Harvey Elliott that's made way for Emi Buendia. So what I'm guessing is Morgan Rogers will go into the 10, and Emi Buendia will play on the left-hand side of that 3. Much more similar to Villa, or Emi Buendia can play the central role. A straight swap with Harvey Elliott. But there is a little bit of more variety in the Villa team. Up front a little bit maybe with those changes, because they did have to make a first half substitute, both teams. So Villa have 3 subs left, 2 windows to make them. There's a ball in behind, and Martinez was committed and got to the ball fairly enough. I've got one player in my fantasy team for this game, and that is Ezri Konsa. I'm on 20 points at the moment for my weekend, and I've got Konsa in this one, and then I've got 3 players, Arsenal players for the Newcastle game: Iberieza, Gyökeres and Raya, and then I've got Beto for the Everton West Ham game tomorrow night. So yeah, that's the way my fantasy team is going at the minute. I don't know what it is. I just haven't got to grips with fantasy or FPL this season so far. Need to lock in. That will be the message, I'm sure, to these 2 teams at half-time, to lock in and get the job done. Aston Villa had failed to score in each of their last 2 Premier League home matches. They aren't going to go 3 in a row, as they've scored today, but they last went 3 in a row without a goal at Villa Park in January of 2015, so well over 10.5 years ago. And the last time they failed to score in the first 3 league home games of the season, of a league season, was the 1969-70 season, and the last time they did it in the top flight was in the 1946-47 season. So all of those unwanted records have been avoided by Ollie Watkins' goal this afternoon. Records that have stood for decades. Throw into Fulham here down the left-hand side. Nice turn here by Rogers as the fellow win the ball back from the Fulham throw-in, and they tried to poke it in behind Watkins, but not on the same page there a little bit, those 2. Ollie Watkins went wide and Rogers played it through the middle. Ooh, Villa on the press here. Fulham going to play it from the back, and that one's fired away by Calvin Bassey down the left channel. Now to play for an Aston Villa throw. It's good pressing from Villa there. Well, Fulham yet to win away from home this season. Lost away to Chelsea, and their only other away game they've played this campaign in the Premier League was away to Brighton on the opening match day, which they rescued a late equaliser, of course. And there's a shot, there's a goal from John McGinn. That's a banger into the bottom left corner, and that's the goal that Aston Villa need. There really is a turnaround coming at Villa Park, and Aston Villa, who this time last weekend hadn't scored in the league, well, they've scored 2 here in this one this afternoon. And John McGinn, adds his name to the score sheet. The Villa captain firing into the bottom left corner. Villa 2, Fulham 1. Again, it's poor from Fulham. Adama Traore caught in possession, wanted a foul, not given. Picked up by Emi Buendia, laid it off to McGinn, who opened the space and fired it low, hard, straight into the bottom left corner. That is a wonderful goal. Beautifully taken, beautifully struck, clean as you like. Aston Villa 2, Fulham 1. And look at that celebration from Unai Emery. That is so needed for this team. And they said one moment could spin this game on its head, could spin this start to the season on its head for Aston Villa. And now look at them. They're flowing with confidence. Here's Digne. Down the left side, rolls it in behind. Watkins is in. Watkins cuts it back across. And it's poked home for 3. Emi Buendia. Like London buses. They couldn't score for the first 4 league games of the season. Well, inside 5 minutes of the second half here, they've made it 3-1 Aston Villa. And 2 goals at the start of this second half has completely taken this game in Aston Villa's favour. Quite incredible. Again, it's really open from Fulham. Throwing bodies far too late at the challenges. Nice ball out wide to Digne. Feeds it in behind for Watkins, who's onside. He cuts it back. It falls for Buendia right on the edge of the 6-yard box. And he fires it home for 3-1. What a start to the second half for Aston Villa. Emi Buendia off the bench, setting up the second and scoring the third. Aston Villa 3, Fulham 1. That is some start to the half for Villa. Wow. Wow. Not even 2 minutes between the 2 goals. My goodness me. And that's his first Premier League goal for Emi Buendia since March of 2023. Wow. There you go. And a penny for the thoughts of Marco Silva. Penny for his thoughts. I'm sure I can guess what his thoughts would be. But that's how quickly a game can spin on its head and change. And now they're in again here. Watkins caught. Wanted a foul. Not going to get it. No penalty, says the referee. Really bizarre defending from Fulham initially, but Aston Villa wanted the penalty. And the referee wasn't having it. Oh, there's a chance! Oh, what a clearance! Talk about terrible defending. Aston Villa toying with it there. See it here. Back to Emi Martinez. Where's he going? What's he doing? Closed down well. Fulham try and work it. And it's Sasa Lukic, I believe, that has the shot. It is. And it's a great clearance off the line by Konza. That is sensational. As we see the other moment from Fulham down the other end, Anderson gets it away from him by Watkins, and then as Watkins sides up for the strike, yeah, that's not a foul. It's definitely not a penalty. Definitely not. Corner to Fulham though. Right hand side here. This game's been burst into craziness. Flick on at the near post. Away at the back post by Rodgers. Nice little step over Anderson. Now Wilson. Out wide it goes to Castagna. Now Anderson with a flick ball into the box. Headed away by Pau Torres. Nice takedown by McGinn, and a jink to get past his man. And that's going to be a free kick as he was brought to the ground. And it's going to be a yellow card as well for Alex Iwobi for his troubles. I mean, chalk and cheese between what we've seen from Villa all of the first few games of the season to today. And then in this second half exclusively. I done my maths. It was 427 minutes for Villa to score their first goal of the season. That's how long it took. 4.5 games. In the 67th minute, away at Sunderland last week. And in the last, if we can work out our maths here, 23 and 55, 78 minutes, they have scored 4 goals. In the last 78 minutes of Premier League football. That is momentum. 3 of which coming today, of course. And in terms of the game time, cut out half time, between the first Villa goal and their third goal, 14 game minutes. There you go. There you go. McGinn firing in behind again here. And that's just skipping away from Gerson down that right hand side, who couldn't keep it in play. What an amazing start to the half for Aston Villa. Such a great start. And they've now took a commanding lead in this game that they want to build upon, use to their advantage now. A victory that would give them momentum, that would give them belief, that would give them a change in ideal, a change in atmosphere around Villa Park that has been very dreary and drab for the first few weeks of this season. August and September will come to an end, and October might be the bright new start that Villa need. Heading into midweek's Europa League action off the back of 2 victories. That would be an unbelievable turnaround of a week for Aston Villa. And the power of Villa Park showing itself once again. Back-to-back home games for the first time this season, and a chance to maybe garner momentum. Actually, 3 of their 4 games to come this week and next week are at home. Only away game between now and the 19th of October, between now and the international break, is away to Feyenoord in the Europa League in midweek on Thursday night. But home to Bologna on Thursday night just past, home to Fulham today, and then at home to Burnley next Sunday. Oh, look at Digne there, caught. Fouled, or not fouled, said the referee. A fair challenge. Castagne. Harry Wilson feeds it in behind Castagne on the overlap. Tries to keep it alive. But the ball had crossed the byline before he could cut it back. Goal kick. And Luca Digne stayed down after that challenge a little earlier. That's a free kick. I mean, that's really... I mean, he wins the ball, but it's the follow-through there from Castagne. That's quite dangerous. Really quite dangerous. Now Fulham have won their last 2 Premier League matches, beating Leeds and Brentford in that run. The Cottagers are looking for 3 consecutive wins for the first time since December and January in the 22-23 season. with this their 9th run of back-to-back wins since then. But they're going to need some big turnaround if they're going to pick up victory here today. Can't remember the last time Aston Villa conceded 4 goals at Villa Park. It's not very often that it does happen. Very rarely. That's what would need to happen at this moment in time for Fulham to win this game of football. That's a nice step inside though from Villa there, but nicely blocked out. I'm still searching. The last time 4 goals were scored at Villa Park by an away team was in May of 2024 when Olympiacos won 4-2 here against Aston Villa. That was the last time an away team had scored 4 goals at Villa Park. In that same season, Spurs came here and beat Villa 4-0 in the league in March of 2024. And Villa were down to 10 on that day. That's the last time a team in the league scored 4 here. Here's a ball in behind for Ollie Watkins. He's taken the touch again. It's taken him away from goal, but he's kept the ball under control. Rodgers fires it across. Nice flick by McGinn, and Watkins couldn't get the shot off. Got the touch, but couldn't get the opportunity to shoot. A little bit better from Villa, though. We surpassed the hour mark inside Villa Park. Aston Villa 3, Fulham 1. A game that started like it had been all season for Villa. Well, that's a nice ball out wide here to Castagna. Lifts it into the box. Up and headed away at the back post by Cash as Gerson tries to help out. And Cash sends it flying away once again. Right, we do have team news to tell you about from St James's Park. We would have told you a little earlier, but we had those crazy goals to start the second half from Aston Villa. And hold on a second, here comes Castagna again down this right. Link up with Wilson, back to Castagna. Another cross deep into the box, and another header by Matty Cash to get it away from danger. Gerson up against Castagna. He's got King for company as well, and the ball comes back to Cash, who fires clear once more. Ollie Watkins holding it up here down the right hand side and lays it off well as he was bundled to the ground. McGinn, now Gerson. Bogard lays it off back to McGinn on the spin and fires it out wide. That's a lovely little bit of play. Now here's Digne. So much more fluid Aston Villa. It's crazy how momentum can change things. Ooh, nice interception there away from Rodgers. And Josh King breaking through. He's got a Wobie Traore trying to help him through the middle, and a Wobie off the left, but Josh King gets beaten to it by McGinn. And now here come Aston Villa. Rodgers. Nice little 1-2 with Emi Buendia. Buendia now. Back to Rodgers. He's got an option wide. Goes for that option. And Gerson. Evan Gerson breaking into the box. Evan Gerson driving through. Falls back to Rodgers. Not given the space to shoot. He tried to switch it out to the left. It does find its way to Digne. Nuka Digne flicking it over the top for Watkins in behind, who takes it around his man, and Anderson gets a toe in to clear it away. Villa showing so much more confidence, brimming with it at the minute. Looking easy. Bogard now lays it off. Buendia will hit one again. That one caught the wind and went wide, but confidence is there to take it, as Fulham are going to make a double substitution here. Emile Smith-Rowe is going to come on. He's going to replace Josh King, and Alex Iwobi is going to be replaced by Kevin. So Kevin and Smith-Rowe on. and Iwobi and King off. 22-year-old Brazilian is Kevin. Joined Fulham in the summer. 34 and a bit million. Has already played a couple for Fulham so far. In need of maybe giving them some positivity at the moment in this game. Maybe a glimpse, a glimmer of hope that they can find a way back. With 25 minutes to go, it is still Aston Villa who lead by 2 goals, and they lead 3-1. The teams from St James's Park will eventually get there. Pope in goal for Newcastle. Back four of Livramento, Chow, Botman and Byrne. Tonali, Joe Linton and Guimaraes in midfield. Guimaraes the captain. Murphy, Gordon and Voltemada the front three. For Arsenal, Raya in goal. Timber, Mosquera, Gabriel and Calafiori in defence. Zubimendi, Rice and Eze on in midfield, with Saka, Trossard and Gyökeres the front three. So no William Saliba from the start. He's on the bench for Arsenal today. Mosquera gets the start, the nod in midfield. Odegaard, however, is on the bench, which is good news for Arsenal. And for Newcastle, a decently strong bench with Alanga, Barnes, Osula all able to come off the bench, but no Johan Visestel or Jacob Ramsey, both missing out this afternoon. That game as well taking place, kicks off in exactly an hour's time at St James's Park. 4:30 kickoff. Newcastle taking on Arsenal. Our game of the week. So far it's been a great game to start the Sunday doubleheader of Premier League action here on LFS. It's Fulham who struck first, but Villa have responded. Equaliser from Watkins, followed up by McGinn to give them the lead through 2-1, and then Emi Buendia adding to that lead after a minute and 43 seconds after the second. The third was bagged into the back of the net. That is momentum. We talk about momentum a lot, and sometimes we talk about it game to game in the way that momentum carries from one win to the next to the next. But I think momentum in this game alone has been quite dynamic in the way that the game has flowed. And the way that momentum has swung, Villa couldn't string a pass together in the first 10-15 minutes. Nothing was going right for them. They were second to everything, weren't winning their battles, weren't winning their duels. Excuse me. And then everything started to change and momentum swung. And in the second half, they had all the momentum, Villa, and scored 2 goals inside 2 minutes. Here's a ball into the box here from the wide right from Harry Wilson, but nicely taken in by Emi Martinez. A quarter of the game to go. This will be unfamiliar territory for Aston Villa. A 2-goal lead. Fulham side, as I said, who've lost just 1 game this season, but they did draw their first 2 league games. Away to Brighton and at home to Man United. They're looking to avoid a big defeat here, but they might be on the end of what was been something that's coming for Villa for weeks. Rodgers, nice little 1-2, and the return ball from Buendia just evaded Morgan Rodgers and was caught in the air by Bernd Leno, but much, much better from Aston Villa. So much sharper, so much more instinctive, really. They're not doubting themselves in their decision making. They're much more decisive, and it's showing in the way that their football is being played at the moment, and it is testing Fulham a lot. "21 minutes remain. It looks like there will be just one Premier League side after this weekend that will be without a victory, and that will be Wolves. Unless Fulham can get moving quickly to maybe ask one or two more questions of Aston Villa's 2-goal lead. Fierce challenge there. Fulham have the ball and poke it through. But again, no way through there. Manny Cash on the cover, making sure that there was no threat in behind. Ezri Konsa's got to be giving me a good couple of points now, surely. Defensive contributions? No. No. I think it's been really difficult. I gotta say, FPL's been really difficult at the start of the season because it's hard to really gauge who's going to actually dominate, who's going to come into the weekend going, oh yeah, we've got a chance. Because the results are so unpredictable at the minute. You look at this weekend alone, Brentford put easily past United. That's probably predictable. That's why I took... that's why I didn't have any Man United players or Brentford players in my team, because it was like that game could go anyway. But Brentford beating Man United... Brighton winning away at Chelsea, which would have been a bit of a shocker. I think Palace beating Liverpool, a little bit of a shock, but in the end, Palace certainly the second best team in the league at the minute. Or maybe Arsenal in that mix. Arguably the second best team, and then Palace the best of the rest outside the title race. But Liverpool were humbled yesterday. Leeds and Bournemouth again. That game could go either way, but it ended a draw, probably predictable. Man City winning at home. That was probably the most predictable of the results this weekend. Man City beating Burnley, but that was 1-1 at one point of that game. Sunderland beating Nottingham Forest. Spurs dropping points to Wolves. I mean, it's not been one of those weekends where you go, that's an easy result, that's an easy one to predict, that's an easy one. I think there's a lot, and that's kind of reticent of the whole season so far in the Premier League, is the fact that you go week from week and you go, well, I could see a result going either way there. And my predictions each week, actually, we'll show you my predictions because there's the game's not much really happening at the moment. But my predictions for this weekend were so scattered that I decided, you know what, I'm going to try and put for some crazy results. You know, Brentford and Man United draw. I thought Chelsea would win. I thought Liverpool would scrape a result against Palace. I didn't think they would do well, but I think they would scrape a result like they have all season. But in the end, fair play to Palace. They were much the better team. Bournemouth, thought they would nick a late goal. I got close. I said I predicted a high-scoring game. That's what it was. It finished 2-2. I predicted City would win by 4 goals. I'll give myself that. Predicted a draw between Forest and Sunderland, but in the end it didn't go that way. I had Spurs to win. This game as a draw. Which, in hindsight, I was kind of like, maybe surely Villa would win at least once in the first few weeks of the season. And then have the next game as a draw and Everton to win at home. So, yeah, fascinating. Here's Gerson. Low cross, deep into the hands of Bernleno. But I think predictions are really difficult to do now because it's just like, who knows what way the game could go. The Premier League is so unpredictable week to week. I mean, just look at the Premier League table for you to have an argument on that. I mean, our top 5 at the minute is Liverpool, which is probably predictable. They're the champions and they're the team that have pulled off some great results this season. But Palace in second in the league. Spurs are third, which is not too unorthodox, but still. Oh, here's a chance. Oh, that was a defensive bit of defending there from Bogart in his own box, and it was a little bit awkward, but he got it back to Emi Martinez. Yeah, it did find its way back to his keeper, but could have been more questionable. Good block, though. Sunderland are 4th. Newly promoted Sunderland are 4th in the Premier League. Mental. Bournemouth are 5th. I mean, Arsenal are in 7th, but they can jump up to 2nd, Arsenal, if they win today. But, I mean, and there's very little separating the sides. I mean, if we look from, 3rd down to 7th is separated by a point. And if you look from 8th all the way down to 16th, there are 2 points between them. I mean, that's wide open. Wide open. I mean, Man United finished yesterday in 11th. They could have been 17th by the end of this weekend if results went against them. In the end, no results have gone against them in that aspect yet, really. Maybe Leeds drawing, but that's not really massively done much to United, but they're 14th at the minute. So, look, that's how crazy the Premier League is at the minute. You can start the weekend and come away with your result in 11th, and then by the end of the weekend, you could be 5 or 6 places below that. That's how crazy the Premier League has been. The only team kind of not affected by that at the minute is Liverpool, because they are clear at the top. They can't be toppled this weekend despite losing, but Arsenal can close the gap to 2 points, and then the game is right back on. Liverpool led by 5 points coming into the weekends. By the end of the weekend, it could be down to 2. Ooh, excuse me. I have to say, I've soldiered through today. I've not been anywhere near at my best today in terms of the way I feel. I feel awful, but the football's making it fun, as it always does. Rodgers, that's a lovely poke ball out wide here to Ollie Watkins. Will I get a fourth here? It's more than game over. Ollie Watkins steps inside, a bit of confidence, lays it off. Player going down in Rodgers, but no foul, said the referee. They want it back. Here's Kamara. Now out wide it goes to Digne, who dinks one in, but caught comfortably by Bern Leno. I forgot to tell you, John McGinn was replaced by Boubacar Kamara in the game. A substitution made a few minutes ago from Aston Villa. So, change made. There was a quick VAR check for a possible penalty there that Mark Donoghue was checking, but that's been cleared. Here's Traore skipping past Pau Torres. Traore cuts it back across, and a few bodies had had to hit there before it was cleared from Villa. And if Fulham do get a goal back, the game is not beyond rescuing for Marco Silva's team. On the left hand side it comes here with Sessegnon. Good challenging and blocking there by Gerson and Emi Buendia down that side. As we see Adama Traore just skips past Pau Torres a little earlier. The ball in. Sasa Lukic was in there. This is what I mean about no recognised centre forward in there. No one's commanding that area for Fulham. You know, Raul Jimenez would have been easily in those pockets, or Rodrigo Muniz would have been easily in those areas to get on the end of those crosses. So far at the minute, not really finding anyone of real potency in that final third are Fulham. Certainly not inside the box anyway. It's a good play down the left channel here. Sessegnon, Kamara on the scene, but Fulham recycling it well. The next goal could decide the final embers of this game. Switch ball into the box and header behind by Luca Digne at the back post for a Fulham corner. The second Fulham goal could ensure a late onslaught, but a fourth goal for Villa would surely dead the game. That's where we stand at the moment. Despite a 2-goal lead for Aston Villa, the game is not completely out of the realms of a comeback. Left footed delivery, back post from the corner, but far too close to the Villa goalkeeper Emi Martinez, who does a simple job of catching the ball. Substitutions coming here. I was wondering why the game was paused. Substitutions for Fulham. A double sub coming. It's going to see the introduction of Anthony Robinson. Sessegnon coming off in his place, and Harry Wilson is coming off. And coming on for him, Samuel Chukwueze. So Robinson and Chukwueze on, replacing Wilson and Sessegnon. Ten minutes to go of this game, of normal time. Aston Villa leading by 3-1. Watkins with the first, McGinn with the second, and Buendia with the third. All that after a early goal from Raul Jimenez, who had to be replaced early as well. So a short and sweet involvement for Raul Jimenez today. Scored in the 3rd minute, subbed off in the 7th. But those substitutions for Fulham, especially Anthony Robinson, an extra attacking player, although he's a defender, a very attacking fullback, someone who can really entice an opportunity here late for Fulham. I want to go for the long throw in down the left here. Robinson lets it fly into the box. Kamara's flick down header, and the shots from Chukwueze is wide. Again, ball into the box, and it's Anderson and Kamara that were up for the ball there, and the ball flicked back to Chukwueze into the box. He struck it off on the half volley and struck it wide. As Villa are going to make their final subs of the game then. It's going to see the introduction of Victor Lindelof and Donyell Malen. And Lamar Bogard. And Evan Gerson. So Evan Gerson coming off for Donyell Malen, and Lamar Bogard coming off for Victor Lindelof. You missed quite a lot, Andy. 2 huge Aston Villa goals that has turned this game in their favour massively. Another long ball towards Watkins, who holds it up well against Anderson. Nice little layoff with Rodgers. Morgan Rodgers not looking to poke it through. Goes out wide to Cash. Now down the right channel, a little bit ahead of Emi Buendia. And battling in there was Bassi to win it back. Calvin Bassi felt he was dragged. And the officials agree. Free kick to Fulham, which they waste no time in taking. Time is not on Fulham's side at the moment. And certainly not the scoreline anyway. We spoke about what Villa have to come before the international break. Fulham, of course, just the one game before the international break for them. The late game next weekend away to Bournemouth. Next Saturday evening, I believe that. Next Friday night. Friday night it is, Fulham's trip to Bournemouth before the international break. That's a nice ball there by Iwobi. Kept in play though. That was well kept in by Kevin. Anthony Robinson finding Emil Smith-Rowe. Kevin. That will always come to my mind. Home Alone Kevin. Here's the chip ball into the box. Away at the near side by Cash. Just been that energy about Aston Villa since they scored. It's been so different. So different from what we've seen early in the season. Really just spun on its head. Anderson. Bassey. Down the left-hand side comes Robinson. Trying to pen Aston Villa in to try and get a goal back. Fulham to maybe rescue something, but it'll be some rescue job as they give it away in possession. And then as Villa try spring away on the counter. Well blocked off from Ollie Watkins. That through ball was targeting the Villa number 11. 5 minutes to go. Smith Rowe got the ball away. Lukic kept it alive, and Castagna. Lukic still alive in the mix there as it's half cleared. Kevin brings it down, recycles it. Here's Chukwueze, pokes it in behind. It took a deflection. It will be a corner. Matty Cash had his work cut out for him down that side. And it is a Fulham corner. So they have had a lot of today. That's their 7th corner of the game for Fulham. Just the 2 for Aston Villa this afternoon. But I don't think Villa will really care about that sort of stat. If they pull off a victory. Whip ball into the box. Headed away at the near post by Kamara. Back it comes. The ball whipped in again. That time too deep by Kevin. And that's going to be a goal kick. Yeah, you definitely did, Andy. You definitely did miss quite a bit. 2 great goals. John McGinn with the second and Emi Buendia. 1 minute and 43 seconds between each other, the second and third goals. So quite a long, quite a quick turnaround. And that's the key moment of this game. So Martinez will look to send it away long. Afternoon, Ian. Thank you very much for joining us. Just a reminder for you that after this one, a little later on, in around about 40 minutes' time, we will be at St James's Park for our game of the week as Newcastle United host Arsenal at 4:30 kickoff there from St James's Park. Eddie Howe's Newcastle. They've scored just 3 goals this season, but conceded 3. All 3 of which they've conceded in one game against Liverpool. They have kept a clean sheet in every other game, but Arsenal will be a real tester for them. And we'll see how they fare a little later on. 4:30 for that one from St James's Park. 2.5 minutes of normal time to go here at Villa Park. That's a nice ball in behind here from Fulham. It's Kevin on the run. Cuts it back into the box. Away by Boubacar Kamara. Oh, a little bit of a heavy touch there down the right side. But it's somehow recovered by Cash. I think it might have been a foul there, but not much said. Not much done about that. He looks so much more fluid at the minute, Villa. Playing through beautifully. Buendia switching it out to Cash here. I mean, everything working for them at the moment as Cash keeps that, or Digne, sorry, keeps it in play. Just really calm and composed now, Aston Villa. Back-to-back victories. What will it do for them? I would say quite a lot. Quite a lot. That trip to Feyenoord in midweek looks a little less daunting now. Off the back of 2 victories, it would be for Aston Villa. A chance where they will go there with confidence that they can come away with a result in the Europa League before their hosting of Burnley here next week. So they could be heading into the international break with momentum on their side, Aston Villa, and a good uptick in results. Here is Castagna. Driving inside, Castagna tries to lift one across the box. He did get it in there, but there was no one in white in there for Fulham. Kevin to Smith Rowe. Chukwueze, I love the fact Fulham are not giving up, but there was no one in the middle. It was a nice ball, but just no one in there. Excuse me. No one at all for Fulham to try and threaten Aston Villa at all there. Traore was the target in there that time. It's Chukwueze breaking through, and he had a shot off target. We'll have 6 additional minutes then at the end of this game. 6 minutes between Aston Villa and their first league victory of the season. A second half that hasn't been completely dominated by Villa, but it certainly was clinical. They've had 3 shots, 2 on target, 2 goals. Fulham have had just 1 shot on target in the second half. And that spell at the start of the second, in the first 5-6 minutes, was the crucial moments in this game to turn it in Aston Villa's favour. A beautiful day in Birmingham, and it will be the sun shining on Aston Villa once again if they can pull off this result. Fulham are one team that never give up. They love a late goal. Down the right side, Chukwueze's really come on with energy here, and he's won a free kick off Boubacar Kamara on the right hand side of the box here. Yeah, he just took the ball and skipped past Cash, and Kamara trying to help out in covering ends up just leaving a leg in and bundling Chukwueze over. There's a late free kick for Aston Villa to deal with. Remember, there's 6 added minutes. We're only 2 minutes into that, so if they get a goal here, there could be a late onslaught for Villa to try and deal with, but it's now or never really for Fulham to try and assess that situation. Ball into the box. It's a terrible ball. Far too overhit, and then the underhit pass by Anderson allows Villa to clear it away through Matty Cash out for the throw-in. That was a real mess of a set piece from Fulham. A real good opportunity on the edge of the box, and they managed to overhit it. And in the end, as they work it down the left there, good blocking again for Matty Cash, but he then wins this throw-in for Aston Villa. I'm sure Unai Emery, he will be feeling a lot better about his team. I don't think he would be coming out with them, calling them lazy this week. I think they've been much more energetic, Aston Villa. A lot more fighting spirit in there. As Fulham will win a corner. Robinson winning the corner down that left-hand side. Well, it did surprise me that Anthony Robinson didn't start this game. He is a real asset to Fulham. He was a real asset for them last season. He hasn't really started much at the start of the campaign, and he's given them some life late in this one. Corner, right-footed, deep, and again overhits, and over the head of Adama Traore, and behind for another. A goal kick this time. Kevin with the overhit set piece. And I think they've seen enough. Beat the traffic and head back down to West London, those Fulham fans. Came here hoping to see what was a poor start to the season for Aston Villa. And they were hoping that their side could be the latest to inflict pain upon the villains. But it's not quite been Fulham's afternoon. Certainly not since that Ollie Watkins equaliser in the first half. been exactly the opposite. And again, it's not too uncommon. We mentioned it in the first half about Fulham and their record away at Villa Park. It is not good at all. It has not been good recently, so they've lost their last 6 coming into this one at Villa Park, so it's going to be 7 in a row now when they head to Villa Park and lose. Some aura they've got around this stadium where they just can't come away with a result, even a draw. There's a free kick one there in the midfield. Sander Berge giving away the foul, and it's the last minute of the 6 added. So there's no doubt which way the result will be going now. It's just about hearing the roar inside Villa Park when the whistle does go. A first feeling of the season. A first winning feeling of the season for Aston Villa. Buendia is the target from that Martinez ball, but Fulham win the header. Bring it down into midfield. Here's Kevin. Going to spin it out to the right hand side for Chukwueze. Marshalled all the way by Luca Digne. Berger with a link up with Chukwueze again. He's running everywhere at the minute, Samuel Chukwueze. Bassi plays it down the left channel, and Cash not only wins the challenge, wins the throw, and that's going to be the crowning moment, because there's the final whistle. A victory they have been longing for 5-6 weeks now, Aston Villa. It has taken them to match day 6 to get their first win in the league this season, in a week where they got their first win of the season as well. Back-to-back victories for Aston Villa. This time last week it was doom and gloom around Villa Park. Well, the sun is shining bright again, and the optimism is back amongst Villa supporters and the Villa players. For Fulham, they started well, it didn't continue that way, and they lost 2 goals in a crucial moment at the start of the second half. Ollie Watkins got the first goal of his season, and Villa's first goal at home in the league this season to equalise. John McGinn came out and put in a captain's performance at the start of the second half to make it 2-1, before it was even better 1 minute and 43 seconds after the second. It was 3-1 when Emi Buendia fired home from 6 yards. That was the moment that changed this game, reignited belief in the Villa team and inside Villa Park, and they converted to 3 points, as I said, for the very first time this season. Final score at Villa Park, it's finished Aston Villa 3, Fulham 1. And there is a positive result for Aston Villa on match week 6. It moves them up to 16th, outside that bottom 3 now, and they will be looking up the table in the coming weeks as well. Of course, they head to Feyenoord on Thursday night in the Europa League, and then back home against Burnley this time next weekend to try and make it a continuation of positivity into the international break. That is it from us this afternoon. A reminder for you that we do have that game coming up in literally about less than a half an hour's time at St James's Park, our game of the week, as Newcastle United host Arsenal. An Arsenal side that could capitalise upon Liverpool's defeat yesterday and close the gap at the top to just 2 points. Or can Newcastle do what they've done all season and keep a clean sheet at home in the vast majority of their games, and actually in all but one of their games this season? And they can do that. Can they? We'll see. That's a 4:30 kickoff at St James's Park. Do stay with us, as that is on the way very shortly. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next stream very, very soon. Bye-bye.